in my entire knowledge of my father, he never once mentioned the word astronomy or talked about the heavens in any way, shape or form. We get to London and he takes us to the planetarium, right? I didn't know what a planetarium was. It was next to Madame Tussauds in Baker Street, which is, it's not there, the building's there now, but it's not a planetarium anymore, I understand. So I go into this planetarium, it's all kind of new, because we're talking late 50s, and the London Planetarium, which we went to, actually opened in 58, so maybe that's why we went, because it was so new. Anyway, I'm sitting there, a little kid, if it was 58, 59, I'd be, 6 or 7. And I'm looking around thinking, what's going to happen? And there's this contraption in there, and this darkness in the sky, and then the show starts. And it's midday, it must have been midday, something like that. And suddenly, I'm sitting there, and the night sky is above my head. And the stars were moving, and the stars looked like they looked when I look up as a kid at night. And you know, there are times in your life when something hits you, it really smacks you and you don't forget it. That was one of my moments. It impacted, that moment when I saw the heavens on that dome ceiling of the London Planetarium in the late 50s, it imprinted something on me, which I've never forgotten. And the last couple of years I was out in the countryside, about 2 or 3 miles from here, just sitting on a bench, and I just looked up. And when I looked up, it was daytime. I saw the sky as a gigantic dome, and I thought, is this real? Is this a projection? Like the planetarium, it came back to me. That story came back to me when I had that experience. And then a friend of mine, Neil Haig, who does artwork for my books, I was talking to him about this. He said, have you seen that movie, The Truman Show? And I hadn't. It had been out a long time, but I got it on DVD when he mentioned it, and I watched it here. For people that haven't seen The Truman Show, it starred Jim Carrey, and he was born on the set of a soap program, but he didn't know that. So he's growing up thinking this is real in life, and his mother's his mother and his girlfriends, and they're all bloody actors. And every time he tries to get out of this little town, this set as it turned out to be, something stopped him. And he started to get, in the end, suspicious what's going on. And cut a long story short, eventually he gets on this boat, which he thinks is going out to the open ocean, and he goes out, and he goes out, and he goes out, and eventually he comes to the wall of this massive frickin' dome, in which it's all been going on in. And then he walks up the edge of the dome and out the door of the dome into the world as it really is. And whoa, that hit me like a train when I watched that. I thought, that's it. Vibrationally, holographically, in terms of projections that we decode, that is our situation. And then, this soap show, The Truman Show, which everyone was watching, with the only person who didn't realize was him, that it was all a big act. The operations center, where it was all manipulated from, looked like the moon. And I think that whoever wrote The Truman Show got seriously bloody lucky, or had some idea what he was writing about symbolically. And I'm saying that Saturn is part of that process. That the way it seems to me is Saturn is the main projector of this fake reality. And then you look at Saturn and you say, anything's possible. What's real anymore? And the moon is amplifying that and focusing on the Earth particularly. So we get a much more amplified version of it, therefore much more powerful fake reality. And people talk about insiders have talked about bases on the dark side of the moon that they've seen in pictures, and NASA, they talk about domes and buildings and strange non-natural artifacts or buildings and structures on the moon, not just on the far side, that's where most of them are, obviously. And isn't it funny, we only see one side of the moon. Hey, just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. But there are some you can point out on the near side of the moon as well. But I'm saying, so I have no problem that all that is correct, but I'm saying that it's inside the moon where the real deal is, and that's what the Russian scientists were saying in 1970, that it's actually goes on inside the moon. That's where the whole thing comes from. And it was another kind of common theme through my life in the last 22 years, and the puzzle pieces being given to me, is that when I've gone public with something that's kind of bizarre and out there, something comes along that says, hey, see, you were right to go there. Look, hey, it's like a confirmation. And about 9 months after Human Race came out, I had an email from a lady in Brazil, I think it was. And she said, I've read your book about the moon. Have you read a book called Earth by a lady called Barbara Marciniak? I met Barbara years ago. And she's what they call a channel. She, like a psychic like Betty Shine, they will hear something, and then they will report what they've heard. For people who haven't come across this, what a channel is someone that literally just allows their body computer, I would say, to be taken over by a projected electromagnetic field, and they just speak the words. Basically, their body's in many ways taken over, and they allow it to be. So Barbara Marciniak is one of these channels, and she produced books in the 90s called Earth and Bringers of the Dawn, great book, I thought, which are literally what came out of her mouth when she was in this channel mode. And she says that she was channeling some consciousness connected to the Pleiades. Anyway, I'd not read Earth, and so she gave me some page numbers, this email, and said, I think it'd be a good idea if you read it. And I sent for it, and it came within a few days, and I went through the page numbers. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The book came out in the mid-90s, and in the middle of all this other stuff about many other different subjects was this stuff about what she kind of channeled, that the moon was not real. It was a construct. It was an eye in the sky, or basically a computer system that was manipulating and dictating human perception on Earth, and that it was not possible for humans in effect to be truly free until A, they can break out of the influence of what's coming from the moon, or the moon is taken over by forces that have a benevolent agenda for humanity. Because at the moment, it was saying, at the time it was written anyway, the time it was published, that was not the case. And when I was reading that, after publishing 9 months earlier, this Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, it was saying basically the same thing. That was because you put it out there, and that's something. It's always nice when these confirmations come like that. And again, I know it's hard for people, completely understand, for them in large numbers to perceive or conceive that life on Earth is being manipulated from the moon by non-human entities, but it is, and but it won't be for that much longer.